Elephant stomping in the courtroom, green elephant defending the innocent, mind sharper than a tenement. Criminal defense game stronger than cement. Out here wrecking cases so your time ain't spent.
All right, we live, Brady. Facebook, YouTube. What's up?
What's going on? Facebook, YouTube, all other platforms. We live from the 225 down here in the boot, Louisiana. Criminal defense lawyers, personal injury lawyers, here to talk about what the people want to talk about.
We're gonna talk about Sonya Massey today.
Before we get into Sonya Massey, we need people to vote on changing the theme song. I have a vote right now. My vote is to change the theme song because all it talks about is Great Elephant. It's not because I actually like the Great Elephant. You know what I'm saying? He's a good friend of mine. You know, he's a very sincere person. But that just can't be the name of the show, especially if I'm gonna be a co-host. Now, if I'm gonna be a recurring guest, then do what you will. But if I'm gonna be on here consistently, we got to change it up a little bit.
See, that's the key word. If you are going to be on here consistently, and that is the question, my friend. Are you going to be on here consistently?
Well, did you? How many times have you been live?
I don't know. Who's keeping score?
You're not keeping score. I mean,
No.
this is the second time that I know of.
I think it's been a little bit more than that.
It's been a little bit more than that.
Probably not a lot more, but a little bit.
Oh, not a lot more, but a little bit. Oh, man, you're not under oath. We gotta swear you. We gotta swear you in for you to answer these questions truthfully.
I mean, I'm answering. You trying to do me like they did Lil Woody.
I ain't trying to do you like that, man. You got a bald head like him, though.
That's my little cousin.
You kind of look like Lil Woody. If Lil Woody ate a few more cupcakes. I got room to talk, huh?
I ain't gonna tell a syrup story.
Oh, don't tell a syrup story. I can't even talk about my jacket and for idea how the jacket made me look big anymore. The last time I tried the case, nobody gave me the answer, and it's just because I'm just not that big anymore.
See, that's one of the drawbacks of losing weight, huh?
Yeah, that is.
People tell you look sick and you feel better than you've ever felt. It's crazy.
But I guess let's get right into it. Let's jump into it. Sonya Massey.
All right. So who was Sonya Massey? What happened to Sonya Massey? I know we got some videos we're gonna review together and discuss it from a legal standpoint, from a basic human decency standpoint, because clearly there was a lack of human decency. Sonya Massey was killed by an animal, a cold-blooded killer. He did not deserve to be a police officer. He did not deserve to wear a badge. I believe he was in the military, and that was brief. This is somebody who should have never been an officer. So, what did you hear before we jump into the videos? What did you hear about Sonya Massey?
Just from my understanding, I didn't get a chance to catch too much of it, but I believe she called the police because I don't know the exact reason that she called the police, but she called the police and the police came to the door, and she had a pot of boiling water on the stove, and I think they came in the home. They also came in the home, and the officer, I believe, asked her to cut the boiling water off, and she just kept saying, I rebuke you. And then the officer makes a very interesting statement. He says he'll shoot her. Uh, and then I guess she's not complying to what he's saying, and I think she takes the pot off the stove, and he shoots her. Well, maybe I inserted that. I don't know for sure she takes the pot off the stove. I didn't watch the video several times.
She took the pot off the stove.
Took
She
the pot
took
off the stove.
but I think she was prompted to do so. I believe the officers in question, asked her, hey, can you take that off the stove? We don't want to have a fire in here, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
But this entire shooting, let's get into the shooting, because I want to come back and I need to make a note for myself. We got to talk about, there are people who look like Sonya Massey, who look like Brady, who look like Chris, who are reluctant to call the police for the same reason. I believe that, Sonya Massey may or her family may wish she, had never called the police on this day in question. But
Yeah.
let's go to this video and watch it and talk about it. But before we watch the actual shooting, I want to get into the officer's history. This officer had a history of various things. So let's listen to his history.
Well,
We're learning new details about the former deputy.
I'm sorry, Brady. Go ahead.
let's go. We could go into it.
Was fired after the deadly shooting of a black woman in Illinois. Sonya Massey called 911 saying she suspected a possible intruder outside her home. Body camera video shows deputies responding to Massey's house. Shots were fired after she picked up what appears to be a pot of boiling water from her stove. The family says Massey was unarmed. The former deputy, Sean Grayson, has pleaded not guilty to charges, including first-degree murder. He was arrested and remains in custody. Now, new original reporting from NBC News finds Grayson worked for 6 law enforcement agencies since 2020. That's according to Illinois law enforcement records, and even had his own previous run-ins with the law.
Let's just talk about that. The deputy who killed Sonya Massey worked for 6 agencies in 4 years. Is this a rare occurrence, Brady?
You smell that?
I don't know. We're remote. You're at your house, I'm at my house.
That smells fishy. 6 agencies in 4 years? That's what? That's like an average of what, 8 months a agency?
Something like, don't ask me to do math, but it's not pretty. Nobody.
Yeah, that's
Somebody
exactly
came to
what
work
it is.
for me, and they had been at 6 law firms in 4 years. I'm probably gonna send them away.
They've been at 5 law firms in 3.5 years, and they coming to you for the 6th.
No, ma'am, no, sir. We're not hiring. We're not hiring, sir. So, that right there is a red flag. My biggest problem with it is when we anoint somebody as a police officer, they're given a lot of power. They're given power to tell us what to do. They're given power over us to enforce the laws. They're given power to arrest us if we don't comply. And we're supposed to listen to this and trust that they're going to do their job the right way and not abuse us or violate our rights. But we got to trust the sheriff or the police chief or whoever hires these people to make sure you hire people who are competent to do the job, who don't have a history of violence, who don't have a history of mental health problems, and who don't have a history of mistreating people. Now, why this man had 6 jobs in 4 years, I would love to know, but I'm sure a detailed background check should have been done, and this guy probably should have been turned away, and Sonya Massey would still be here today.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because he pretty much states his intentions before he shoots. He lets her know he'll shoot her.
Yeah, I mean he's a bully.
Kind of even before the situation even escalated, and that's
well, he escalated. And from what I've seen on the video, this officer was the person who escalated the entire incident.
well. You got to play the video. We're gonna have to play it a couple times.
NBC News national reporter Janelle Griffith is behind this new reporting. So, Janelle, walk us through what exactly you found out about Grayson's past.
So, yes, he actually had pleaded guilty twice to driving under the influence of alcohol, once in 2015 and again in 2016. And one of those times overlapped with when he was enlisted in the Army, and he was released shortly thereafter. He was discharged. And he also, I found at one of those departments, had been disciplined for striking a deer in a police chase. That sheriff's office had said was his fault. They said that he had violated a number of department policies in the chase, and he had also faced 2 unsubstantiated complaints by 2 citizens, filed by 2 citizens.
So pretty remarkable findings. And I imagine, Janelle, the family has thoughts about this. What have we heard from the Masseys, as well as their lawyer, who, of course, is prominent civil rights attorney Ben Crump?
Yes. So Ben and Sonia's family are saying, why was this man allowed to work in law enforcement at all? They said he left the Army under questionable circumstances, and he had been pleaded guilty to 2 DUIs himself. So was he the most suitable person to be in a uniform? And they're calling for accountability. And they believe that had he not been a part of the sheriff's office, that Sonya might still be alive right now.
To that end, really briefly, Janelle, have we heard from the sheriff's office on this, on your new reporting?
No, they have not said. They're actually, his recent employer, the only one, has not provided me his records. All 5 other departments have gotten back to me with his personnel files, but the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office has not as of yet.
Janelle Griffith, great reporting. Thanks so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about.
So, Brady, I still don't want to go. I want to get to the video.
Ever seen a military monocular lens?
Before we get to the video, I want you to, you've been doing.
Here's what you about that. How long I've been practicing?
Yes.
11 years.
All right. So tell our audience so they can understand.
Well, I gotta say the interesting thing is, I see what he's charged with now. I think that that his former charges and his former guilty pleas kind of added up to him being charged in this instance. Because when you look at it, and I'm not saying that independent of that he wouldn't have been charged, but what I'm saying is that it looks like it was easier for them to charge him given his history of conduct. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Because police are like everybody else. They're going, just like a loved one want to protect their family if they feel like their family done something wrong. Police are the same way. But the thing is, if he's consistently done some things, albeit misdemeanors, DWIs, but we know what could happen when somebody's drinking and driving while intoxicated. But he's consistently, as an officer of the law, broken the law, and he's been given opportunities to enforce the law. Again, it's this, it's I guess it can be very hypocritical, right? Here's a guy who has two guilty pleas on misdemeanor DWIs, and he may have to stop somebody for a DWI.
That's right.
And
it's is this something you see or have seen in the 11 years you've been a lawyer? I know I've seen it in my time as a lawyer, but in the 11 years you've been a lawyer, have you seen this? You know, officers who were fired or terminated from one agency going up the road to another agency and getting a job.
Absolutely. You know, it happens more than it should, and that's if you feel like it should even happen at all.
You know, I've seen. You know, I had a client once who had an officer fracture a bone in his neck, and he left the job on the police force. He went work offshores for a year or two, and lo and behold, after we sued this agency, and they paid us some money, the officer comes back to the police force, and they routinely, especially in small town Louisiana, these officers routinely get in trouble, go get a job in a neighboring parish, get in trouble over there, go get a job at a third location, and then they just keep going in a circle, recycling trash. They recycle trash is how I would explain an officer who's not fit to be an officer. And that's not, majority of them are fit, but the ones who are not fit to be an officer, who are allowed to go from agency to agency, is just recycling trash, and it ends up in a situation such as Sonya Massey, where an innocent person is injured or worse, loses their life. And there's no coming back from that.
So I think it would be interesting to even look at the timeline of the charges and whatever other misconduct that this officer has had, and the timeline of him being discharged, or being able to leave one agency and then being able to join another agency.
We may have to do that on another call, to dig that information
Yeah.
up. And at some point it's got to come out, not only the various jobs, why he left, why he held these various jobs at all these different agencies, why he left, how long he was there before he left. Those are important things that I'd be interested in knowing.
Yeah,
But,
and even the motivations behind prosecute. I mean, pleas happen in every single jurisdiction in this country, in every place in this country, right? We all know the facts that 90% of cases plea out, don't go to trial. But a lot of times the prosecutors, they control what the plea offers are. Well, every time they control what the plea offers are.
that's right.
Yeah, every single time they control what the plea offer is. And some places judges have to approve them, but for the most part, those judges approve those plea offers. And here's an instance where you have a guy who's being charged in his jurisdiction. Well, I'm sure he's been state's witness before for a trial for somebody accused of a crime, and he may have some kind of, I'm not saying inappropriate relationship, but a working relationship with the district attorney's office and the assistant district attorneys. And sometimes they know each other. They know each other personally, and they may take in that into consideration when tendering an offer, right?
Absolutely. So let's get to the video.
Well, before we gotta, if you haven't seen the video, we gotta do the official warning that this can be very traumatizing for some people. Be watching this video because you're about to see a real live murder on film.
All right, here we go. It's not pretty, but it needs to be seen. And
Yeah.
It needs to be dealt with.
Now.org. I'm A warning to our listeners, Massey goes to turn off rebuke you in the name of better effing, as Sonya Massey twice says, I'm sorry, shots ultimately shooting her in the face. This is a clip of the exchange leading up to the shooting.
What is your last name? Shouldn't have to think about your last name. You're not in trouble. I just need to text.
Massey.
Huh?
Massey.
What? You have an ID? That'd make things so much easier. I just need just a driver's license will do, and then I'll get out of your hair.
I want to show y'all my paperwork.
I will get your paperwork.
What paperwork?
Okay. I got some paperwork.
Well, just get your ID real
Well, let's
quick.
get your ID first, and then...
One task at a time here.
Okay. Let me
Here, grab your ID for me.
Okay.
Your ID. One task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID is.
You just got that stack right there, maybe?
Okay. 1 second.
Check on her.
Let me leave this.
No, we don't need a fire while we're here.
Right. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Where you going?
Huh?
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I would rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
I
Rebuke you in the name of
no, that's where I got. I'll shoot you right in your face.
So after that, Sean Grayson shoots Sonya Massey. Body cam footage later records him telling his partner not to render aid to her. Records show Grayson has worked 6 different law enforcement agencies in Illinois since 2020.
Let's watch this other video. May have the.
I mean, what qualifies him to say don't render aid to her? Like
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Like what medical expertise does this guy have to say? I mean, that's the whole purpose of taking somebody to the ambulance or calling the ambulance and getting them removed. That's the whole purpose of EMS coming out. You know, because your job is different than that of EMS. It's different than that of somebody trying to save somebody. You know, while you probably have some of the tools to check and possibly revive, that's not your job to say, don't render aid. She's dead.
Well, let's peel that onion back a little bit. So I'm gonna propose a question to you. What are some reasons why he may tell the other officer to not call for help for her?
In case they get rid of that body cam footage.
That's right. I would suspect.
Don't render aid. You know, with your body camera on.
I think the officer that actually did the shooting did not have his body cam on, and I don't know who's to say if he knew the other officer had his on, because. Honestly, if we don't have this body cam footage, we're not having this conversation right now. We as far as we know, the story that was one of the random stories that was told to Sonya Massey's family, that maybe it was I think one of the stories was they were led to believe an intruder broke in and did this to her. So if we don't have this body cam, we never know the truth. And how often does this happen?
I mean, way too often. You know,
we'll never know. Like, what are the statistics on that? There's no idea.
I mean, how can you prove a negative, right? Something's been destroyed, and somebody gives you a story, and you don't have anything to back it up. You know, no video to back it up. Then you got to ride with the story.
Yeah, it's man, this is it. You know, more than anything, it's scary. If you think about it, like if I have an intruder at my house, what do I do? Who do I call? It's like, seriously, do I call the police to come help me to check it out, or do I just deal with it? I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, I mean, you wanna say call the police. You want to say that, but you know, there's times where police will come and you tell them what's going on, and they tell you what you did wrong.
So let's talk about, we got a few comments on Facebook I'm looking at.
Okay.
We got one from the
I can't
oldest
see.
one I see. They're on my Facebook page.
All right.
I got the oldest one I see is from Thomasina, because unfortunately for the people that look like us, we can't trust that we'll survive the interaction. I agree with that comment.
Well, yeah, it's kind of you almost gotta weigh the pros and cons when you're in a stressful or a situation of distress, right?
Yeah,
You gotta say
who's a
say
greater danger to me, the guy
right.
breaking in my house or the guy that has to come help me? I don't know. Like who is the bigger threat to me? Tell me, Brady. You're a smart man.
I mean,
Seriously.
I don't have a crystal ball though.
Then we got a comment from Taisha talking about these officers getting recycled. She says, unfortunately, they don't get sent away because the departments are lacking and are choosing whatever they can get, settling for less. It's I do know that being a police officer is not, the pay isn't great. So some
Nah, I mean, I would agree and say it's a tough job.
it is a tough job.
You know, it's a job. It's a job that I don't want.
Nope. You know, some it's a job that is tough, it's important, it's needed, but we got to make sure we're putting the right people in those positions.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, another comment: run criminal history record through NCIC before hiring. Simple.
What?
That is simple.
I mean, if look, I can assure you that they knew his criminal history before they hired him. They absolutely did it, and what they chose to do, they chose to look the other way.
That's right. We got a comment from a Jessica Baptiste. Officers need to go through extensive psychological testing, especially with a dishonorable discharge from the military. I agree with that. You know, if you, me, Jessica, or anybody else watching this wanted to go buy a firearm tomorrow for personal protection, they're gonna do a background check on us. And if there's a criminal history or some psychological issues in our past, we're gonna get denied for a gun for personal protection. But we have men and women who are in law enforcement, and these issues are overlooked. These issues are overlooked, and it results in people being injured or killed.
Yeah.
So let's see what other comments we got. Joseph Olivier, I watch him. He's a funny guy. He has a lot of stuff on social media. He just put some flames. Guess he's saying this is a good topic to discuss. And Mr. Olivier is former military. So thank you for your service. And I do follow you on social media. You're a funny dude. Then the last comment we got is from Kiara Hartford, the one and only in my life. Then what the family was notified. Then when the family was notified, they didn't tell them she was killed by a cop. That's right. They like, I think we touched on that. They made it seem like some random person broke in and did this. So let's finish this video.
That was before they knew their
that
brother
body
in
cam
blue
on.
body camera was on.
I sincerely believe that when an officer encounters a member of the public, they should be required to turn their body cam on immediately. And the penalty for failure to do so should be automatic termination. Because there's way too many cases. Even in my cases, I have criminal cases right now where my clients are adamant that things did not occur the way the officer says, and I believe them, but there's conveniently a lack of footage. These body cams are simply not being turned on, and I think a lot of it is on purpose. So let's see what else this video has to say.
All of this comes as Massey's family says police first tried to cover up her killing. The Guardian newspaper obtained audio of a call from the scene in which a deputy told a dispatcher Massey's wound was self-inflicted. The family said it was also given misleading information given by police that she was shot by a neighbor. This is Massey's father, James Wilburn, at a news conference.
I was under the impression that a prowler had broke in and killed my baby. Never did they say there was a deputy-involved shooting until my brother read it on the internet. He shared with me, he said, "Brother, what was Sonya's address?" I told him, and he said to me, "This says this is a deputy-involved shooting." I said, "Deputy-involved shooting? What are you talking about?"
Sonya Massey was the mother of two, a 15-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. Her killing by police has prompted protests, and both President Biden and Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris issued statements saying Massey's family deserves justice. Vice President Harris said, quote, "Sonya Massey deserved to be safe. Doug and I send strength and prayers to Sonya's family and friends. We join them in grieving her senseless death," unquote. Harris also called for Congress to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. For more, we're joined by Ben Crump, civil rights attorney representing the family of Sonya Massey. Can you explain exactly what took place? You've been out there, Ben. You're representing the family at this point, and talk about the cover-up as well.
Well, obviously, it's a tragic beyond proportions, Amy. This is the worst police shooting video that I've seen. I mean, it is so senseless. And the video is disturbing, but the audio is equally disturbing. When you look at that video and you see him move around the counter, even though he's trying to allege the reason he shot her was because he feared that she was going to throw hot water in his face from the pot, the very pot that he sent her to get. And then he moves around the counter, I think from an objective observation, looks like to get a better shot. And then he has no remorse whatsoever. When his partner says, "I'm going to go get my CPR kit," he says, "Nah, it's a headshot. Don't worry about that. It's not going to make a difference. She's gone." And then at one point in the video, he says, "Just let her effing," and he doesn't finish his statement, but a logical comparison can conclude he's saying, "Just let her die." And so it's troubling on every level. She needed a helping hand, Amy. She did not need a bullet to the face.
And Ben Trump, equally disturbing is the fact that the authorities at first even withheld the actual information of what happened here. Could you talk about that and how you were able to uncover what really occurred?
Well, the family said when they initially got to her home, they kept asking what happened, who did this, and they asked questions saying, well, did she have a history with the neighbor? We're trying to find out. is what the family say they told them. It's under investigation. Never told them that it was a police involved shooting. In fact, one of the relatives said that a nurse at the hospital was saying, they said this was self-inflicted. We saw some radio scanner back and forth where they talked about whether it was self-inflicted or not. So we don't know what the narrative was initially, but we've asked for a thorough investigation of that as well. What led up to the killing itself, and then the aftermath of the killing with the sheriff's department, because we don't believe Deputy Grayson should have never been hired in the first place. He was convicted of 2 DUIs. We understand that he was discharged from the Army, and he had 6 jobs in 4-year span, different law enforcement agencies. We have reason to believe that he may have been terminated from some of those law enforcement agency jobs. And so the question is, why did he even have a job as a sheriff's deputy? The judge said at the bond hearing, after watching the video that was released yesterday, that he believed Officer Grayson was a threat to public safety.
Brady, what are your thoughts on that? Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Brady. Still can't hear you. Can't hear you. Is your mic paused? I can't hear you at all, Brady. Did you do anything? You're not muted. Your audio is on over here. I can't hear you. All right, we're going to give Brady a minute to come back. He's having a little audio issues. Hello? Nope. I have no idea why I can't hear you.
We're learning new.
Talk. Say something. Can't hear you. I don't know what happened to your audio, Brady. What's up?
Put that shit on silent.
All right, we're gonna let this video run, folks. Brady's having a little technical difficulties, but he may join on his phone.
Sheriff's deputy shooting and killing a black woman. We want to warn you, we have blurred this video, but it is extremely disturbing.
You better not. I swear to God, I'll shoot you right in your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the pot. Drop the pot. Drop the pot.
19 shots fired.
Shots fired.
The video shows police entering Sonya Massey's home after she called 911 for help. She was shot in the face after she picked up a pot of water. The shooting prompting first-degree murder charges against former Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson. Massey had initially called police to report a prowler. President Biden released a statement on her death a short time ago, saying in part, quote, Sonya's family deserves justice. I am heartbroken for her children and her entire family as they face this unthinkable and senseless loss. Jill and I mourn with the rest of the country, and our prayers are with Sonya's family, loved ones, and community during this devastating time. The Illinois Attorney General also released a statement today saying, in part, quote, the body camera footage is horrific, and I offer my deepest sympathy to Sonya Massey's family as they relive a moment no family should experience. As community reacts to the release of the footage, I urge calm as this matter works its way through the criminal justice system.
At computer.
You there, Brady?
Yeah, I'm here. He's here. Well, he's entitled to due process. I mean, that's one thing that everybody is entitled to that's charged with a crime.
We're learning new details about the former deputy.
Yeah, he is.
What'd you say?
Yeah, he certainly is entitled to due process. But you're completely black. You know that?
You say I'm completely black?
Yeah, I can't see your face. You got your camera off on purpose?
No, I don't.
There you go. Oh, you got the same headphones as me. Do you?
Yeah. I doubt it.
Which ones you got? Let me see.
Man, I don't know why you want to see my headphone, man. You got your
Man, I
own
want to see if
headphone.
you copying off me, bruh.
No, actually, I told you to get these because they enhance the sound and video quality when you're looking at Discovery.
You told me to get those headphones.
Oh, so you act like you ain't never, like I ain't never tell you. Oh, you should do something.
You gave me tech advice. That's what I'm asking.
Have I not before?
Maybe.
Okay.
Software.
Okay. I mean, but I don't have a problem stipulating that you generally know more about tech than I do. I mean, you want a cookie?
Nah, well, my nickname is Cookie Monster, but I don't want no cookie out of your dirty hands. My
You don't
baby
want
not here tonight.
You
We
don't
bake.
want cookie out that officer hand.
My baby not here tonight. We bake cookies at night and eat cookies and that's what I do. I eat me 1 or 2 baked cookies every night.
That's so sweet.
The cookie or the experience?
All of the above.
All right, so I digress. So let's just touch on a few things. We watched all the videos. You know you're black again. Your video is off again, but maybe that's by choice. I don't know. But I want to touch on a few things. And I welcome people to. Somebody asked, Christopher, is your opinion is my opinion what, Teresa Elmore? I have opinions about a lot of things, but you got to be specific. So, what about the what are your thoughts on the law enforcement, response? First, let's talk about the rendering aid or lack thereof aid rendered to Miss Massey.
I mean, that was ridiculous. I mean, well, I mean, she was shot in the head, but you still have to check. That's your job as an officer,
I mean,
right?
this guy didn't care. He didn't care if she died.
And then he instructed the other officer to not check,
Right.
which just I mean, it's really it's really troubling that he said that.
What do you think about, like, the impact on the community, especially people who look like Sonya Massey, people who are similarly situated to Sonya Massey. You know, you and I both get cases where we have clients who get charged with, for instance, flight from an officer. A lot of times these people haven't done. These are completely innocent people, and they'll see the police and they'll run. And then police and the prosecutors will say, well, if you're innocent, why did you run? Look what happened to Sonya Massey. Look what happened to Sonya Massey. There are individuals who I know, who I've represented, who I've spoken to, who have been mistreated by the police because they didn't do anything wrong and chose not to run. So, people think if you're innocent, why did you run? Innocent people run all the time because depending on where you are and what you look like and who's around, that will dictate a lot of times how you are treated by law enforcement. So
Right.
innocent people do run because they're afraid. They're more afraid of the people the police may be looking for. They're more afraid of the police in a lot of situations than they are of the people who the police may be looking for. So I'm always when somebody runs, I'm never gonna just assume they did something wrong because I know why people run. And we've done, the whole world sees it now with Sonya Massey, but I've had encounters with the police where I wasn't doing anything wrong. I've been stopped in my vehicle and I've been asked, whose vehicle am I driving? Well, what do you mean? Like, you can run a license plate. I got my registration, insurance, my name is on all these documents, and you still want to know whose vehicle is it? Well, why? Like, how else can I prove it to you? So if somebody encounters law enforcement who isn't completely clean cut, not saying I am, but I'm close to it, then they have reason to be nervous, They have reason to be afraid. They have reason to get the hell out of Dodge. I wish it wasn't like that, but that's the reality of the world we live in, some of us. So what can we do?
I mean, you get stopped by the police, keep your recorder on your phone, call somebody, be on the phone with them when the police stop you. A lot of times those situations come up so quick, people don't know what to do.
And just so everybody's clear, we certainly want you. There's certain things, if the police pull you over, you're required to do. You're required to give them your name. You're required to give them your address. You're required to give them your insurance and proof of registration. You can't decline to give these things. You are required to provide them, and you should do so. You should be respectful. But you do have a constitutional right, a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. So that means you're required by law to give basic information identifying who you are. At least in the state of Louisiana, you are. In some states, I don't even think you're required to do that. But you are not required to, if the police asks, where are you coming from? You're not required to answer that. Where are you going? You're not required to answer that. What did you do today? You're not required to answer that. You don't have to have a conversation with them. You can be respectful and decline to have a conversation, but don't run, don't flee.
Yeah.
I understand why
I
you
mean, we
might
can't,
feel
we
inclined
legally,
to.
we can't advocate for that.
What?
I said legally, we can't, we can't advise you to just run from the police.
I mean, you shouldn't. You shouldn't, right? I mean, absolutely should not. Be respectful, even if the cop is rude and mean and a jerk and whatever. The best thing you can try to do is record it. The second best thing is to try to have a witness. But look, oftentimes we're in a vehicle by ourselves, or wherever we are by ourselves, and that's not possible. So just try to remain respectful. At the end of the day, I want you to be here tomorrow and not the victim of police brutality.
And Chris, speaking of tomorrow, I have a 6 a.m. flight to catch to in New Orleans, so I'm gonna tune out. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for having us. Great Elephant, close it out, and we'll see you the next time on the next crime.
Next time, next crime. There you go. Like the way you said that. All right, folks, Brady has left the building. This green screen is not a pretty background. See if I can fix that right fast. All right, Teresa, you still got a little bit more time to ask me whatever you were trying to say about my opinion. If not, I'll just touch on a few other things before ending this live stream. We're going 53 minutes. I don't want to keep you guys all night. It's 8:32 Central Standard Time. As far as the legal proceedings go, with respect to this officer, he has a right to a trial. He has a right to an attorney. All of that's going to play out in the court. I think it's going to be a pretty uphill battle to prove that his actions on this day were justified. We have to wait to see, though. As you know, a jury can do whatever they feel is right when a case is before them. And no matter how it all looks to us, no matter what the verdict is in the public opinion, he still has to be tried before a jury of his peers to decide what, if any, punishment should be handed down to him. So, I don't know the ultimate solution to problems like this. They keep happening. They will continue to happen until there is some real change. We have one presidential candidate wanting to give complete immunity to law enforcement. Nobody should have complete immunity. Nobody's above the law, not even the president, certainly not the police. We have the problem. It persists because these officers, a lot of times there's no skin in the game. Worst case scenario, a lot of them lose their jobs. Rarely do they go to prison. If a family is awarded a large sum of money, it doesn't come out of the officer's pocket. It comes from the city or the state or the whatever municipality is responsible for that officer. So, the best thing we can do as a society is make changes that limit the frequency at which innocent people lose their lives. I don't think we're going to ever get to a situation where that number goes down to zero, but it has to be, something has to be done to where it ends up being much better than what we currently deal with. I mean, this lady's in her house, on her couch. She's a little bit of aloof, but so what? A lot of people are. That's not justification to take her life. You know, whatever she was dealing with on that night bothered her enough to where she needed to call the police. The police show up. Their job is to help her, not hurt her. So we need real change that holds officers accountable. Like bad actors, bad officers need to be afraid. They need to be afraid of what will happen if they harm an innocent person. I understand there's a lot of bad guys out there, so they have to be tough. But what happened to Sonya Massey, his toughness wasn't needed. Maybe if he was somewhere on the south side of Chicago dealing with some gang violence and that sort of deal, he needed to be aggressive and on top of it and, alert and, ready to respond. But this is a lady who's in her house trying to make dinner and he takes her life, There's simply no justification for that, no reason for that, and this man should go to prison. And whatever agency hired her should be responsible for compensating her family to the full extent that's allowed under Illinois law. So that's all I'm going to say on this topic tonight. We're at 58 minutes. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. We will continue to follow this story and other stories that are similar to this, because it's really not, the change isn't really going to happen until enough people are crying out for change. That's it. We can't sit back and expect the legislators to do anything about it. They'll give us a little crumb here and there, but we got to stay on them because this stuff can be cleaned up. It doesn't, like police shootings of innocent people. This stuff doesn't happen that frequently in other countries. It's only here, land of the free, home of the brave, where we have rogue actors, officers coming out there doing this thing. Man, this is nothing against officers. I have friends who are police officers. One of my good friends is a former police officer. Some of the nicest guys I talk to when I go to court are the officers who I cross-examine the heck out of a lot of them. I'm hard on them when they're on the witness stand. But, when they're not on the witness stand, we're talking about food. We're talking about LSU football. We're talking about what's happening in the community, how we can improve the drug problems, the crime problems. We talk about these things, and I'll chew them up and spit them out if they're on the witness stand. And they understand it, but these are good stand-up guys that are trying to make their community better. And I know they don't like to see what we see with this officer shooting Sonya Massey. So, we need to do it for us, the regular people who can be subject to this, but also the guys, the good cops. The good cops need these bad cops off the force because they don't want the public looking at them like that. They don't want to be lumped in with these guys. So stay tuned, folks. We'll continue to follow the prosecution of this murderer, Sonya Massey's murderer, and the legal implications of it and other stories like that. All right. So with that being said, you see the tickler at the bottom. I want to invite and encourage everybody to go to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Elephant Law. I'll do my best to bring you a weekly video. I'm not promising it yet. I got to get my boy Brady in line to be on here with me weekly, but there will be times I'll just do it without him. So, folks, with that being said, happy Thursday. Have a good night. I'll see you guys next week.
Trapping legal, heavy on the blocks. Great elephant, got the docket on lock. Courtroom like a jungle, keeping it non-stop. On the defense line, clapping at the clock. Tell the judge to relax, swaying up a roll. Jury nodding heads, great elephants control. No sweat under pressure, ice in his soul. Not a cuff, break free, legal as his goal.